Good morning. Welcome to episode 14 of Exiting the Matrix. This will be part 3 of calling out the system. So it's the reason why it's so important to call out the system and just name things for what they are and label things for what they actually are and let go of basically what we've been told is because it's a whole system that's basically based on people saying, hey, do we know we should all play this game and do everything just this way? And if you don't play this game, I'm going to be mean to you. This is basically like the foundation for the whole Matrix is based on this one principle. So it's really important to just call it out for what it is. We can go back to stage 0 at the point where someone said, my needs aren't being met. I'm going to try to have them met by taking from someone else. This is basically someone who has turned away from the expansion of consciousness. Instead of trying to discover how they can have their needs met, they have all of a sudden redirected themselves and saying, I can't have my needs met. How can I steal from someone else? So this is the point at which we have disconnect. If this point is, if a culture creates systems to deal with this point isn't that big a deal, and we don't have lizard consciousness. We don't have people stuck in this state of mind of eat or be eaten. This is a very elementary state of consciousness, a very elementary state of evolution. It's a part of evolution. It's a part of consciousness. It's a very small part. It's not supposed to be dominating and leading everything because eat or be eaten isn't what really advances us anywhere. So we need to just be really mindful on what it means to really be alive. Basically, the Matrix has convinced us that what they say is being alive and what we naturally want to do is some other weird thing, or that we can just do on the weekends or on holidays for a week, a year, that kind of a thing. But we need to be doing this every single day because this is what makes us alive. So my new favorite thing is barefoot. I just go barefoot whenever I have the opportunity to because it feels amazing. I can actively feel when they say it has antioxidant properties much greater than any food. I can feel it. I feel inflammation decrease, rapidly within the first few seconds of getting contact. And if I bury my feet in like a little gopher hole or some soft dirt somewhere, I feel it even more. I feel it just like sucking all the free radicals, all the extra electrons out of my body that I don't need, and pulling pain and inflammation out with it. I can feel it's kind of an intensely soothing effect. So this is one thing that I try to do as much as possible. Sun. I try to relax in the sun, and with my eyes closed, have my face be very relaxed and let the sun be around on different parts of my face and my neck and my occiput. I do a sun meditation. I did a demo on that. That's on my YouTube channel. I might put up a better one if that one's not clear enough. But it's just like 2 or 3 minutes of getting some intentional sunlight in a very specific way throughout the central nervous system. It's it's a little scientific, spiritual thing, a little science and spirituality in a short meditation. Anyway, so things that make us feel better. Bathing and using really high quality care products. When we show care for our body is a composite of earth and sun, and by showing care to our body, we're saying that we're giving respect to the earth and to the sun, because the earth gives us our body and the sun gives us our animus. So we're showing respect for the gift that we're experiencing. Our greater self is much, many times more potent than just this body, but we're showing respect in this incarnate for this body by caring for it. So this is one of the reasons why self-care is so important, because we are literally spending our focus, time, and energy on improving our vehicle and improving our vessel. This is important. So again, it's respecting ourself, it's respecting our mother, and it's respecting our father. Who we are, how we're animated, and who we really are. It's a form of respect. So I mentioned the toxic product things. One form of the Matrix is to put toxic chemicals in everything so they're inescapable, because these toxins are neurotoxins. Our true bodies, our electrical bodies, are more of who we are than our physical bodies. Just our nervous system is what our electrical body is. So they put neurotoxins and things that degrade or drain or strain the nervous system and all these different chemicals. And they know what all these chemicals do. The FDA just sets limits so that they're not going to cause some immediate disease right away. They say it can only be this parts per million, because anymore, and you're going to start having rapid problems, because they want people to slowly fall apart and then have to pay for expensive doctors. They don't want people just dying. There's no room for the medical industry to make a bunch of money if people just die because the chemicals are to that toxic. So they define all these limits for all these toxic chemicals. There's a place in the world they don't allow these chemicals. They're like, no, these chemicals are so horrible. Why would you even consider using them? Why would you consider having your public have access to products that have these chemicals in it? These more evolved cultures in Europe, they don't tolerate this kind of bullshit. They don't let the Matrix in that form. I'm not saying they're not any better than we are in terms of having the Matrix there, in terms of having the slave system there. It's just that as a culture, the people don't tolerate that form and that level of enslavement. So anyways, virtually all products on the market, just as all food on the market, is toxic. There's toxins in it that are man-made. So it's really important to I know it sounds kind of like the hippie natural thing, but realistically, it's just getting back in alignment with our planet and ourselves and showing respect for our planet and for ourselves. Just because a product works well and because it's effective doesn't mean that we should be degrading our skin and our planet because of that. And so part of awakening is realizing that our true roots and who we are is practicing, who we are in our true roots, and finding ways to make adjustments in our lifestyles. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, now I know that I can't do that anymore, but sometimes it is, because sometimes people have just breakthroughs. They're like, wait a second, when I read about the things about pigs, I won't go into too much detail, and then just had already been kind of off meat for the most part, because I know how bad the meat industry is, and it's really hard to find like someone who actually hunted the meat, or has a tiny farm with just one animal or a couple animals. Anyways, just my awareness expanding around the issue of eating meat got me to the point where I just suddenly, my level of interest dropped below the line at which I would eat it, because it was already an every once in a while kind of thing, maybe once or twice a week, or maybe just once or twice a month, kind of depending. But after I learned enough, I was just like, okay, I'm letting go of meat. Unless someone actually hunts this fresh, unless I hunt it or catch it fresh, I'm just not going to eat meat anymore. That's where I'm at right now. So anyways, back to the toxic products. The Matrix is in toxic products. Like I could say right now, I was like, ew, gross, I've got the Matrix all over me because I'm around certain areas where there's toxic air, and I'm sensitive to these chemicals. So the small amounts that most people don't notice that just slowly degrade them over time, I actively notice the degradation they're doing. I'm just super sensitive to that kind of stuff. One of the most common things that I'm dealing with right now is silicone. So silicone, I think there was a big scare about it leaking in breast implants and causing cancer. But now they're using silicone as seals for everything. They've replaced synthetic rubber and plastic seals, which used to be the normal, with silicone. Just in the last 5 or 10 years, it's almost impossible to find anything that's not silicone. Silicone has a really gross flavor. So after using it in a seal form where it gets friction regularly, I don't know, a dozen, 20 times, it starts to degrade and fray from that friction. And I can taste it and smell it, and it's gross. And I have a temporary measure. I wash and rinse it off after every time I use a bottle that has a silicone seal. I wash and rinse it off by the end of the day because the flavor gets worse. Every time I open the lid and put the lid back on, more frays off and gets into the part that I'm drinking somehow, and it has a flavor. It also absorbs other odors. So if a little bit of bacteria gets into silicone, that bacteria is going to be smelling like bacteria forever. I don't know if you've experienced this before. So silicone, one thing to be calling out and be looking for alternative to silicone and making it an issue, saying, hey, silicone supposedly tests clean of a few things, but practically speaking, we can tell it degrades and enters into our foods and our drinks, and then we shouldn't be using this so closely with our foods and our drinks anymore. Toxic product, we should be sourcing whole ingredients. Jojoba oil is my favorite for skin, so I use it for skin and hair because it's very light and I don't like thick, oily things on my skin, and it absorbs very rapidly, and it does a really good job. It's really high quality oil. So I make my own skincare products using jojoba as a base. Cocoa butter is highly rejuvenative, so if you want to make something really rejuvenative, you can use that as a base and mix coconut oil as an emulsifier and make it a little bit lighter. There's skincare. You can make highly advanced forms of skincare with not a whole lot of work, just a little bit of an initial investment on the bulk product. because what they're selling on the market, I've done practice making my own for a while, what they're selling on the market is so diluted that they talk about this is fancy green tea, lavender, exotic Amazon fruit berry, shampoo or skin cream, but in reality they're artificial scents, or maybe some natural scents and some artificial stabilizers, but you're not actually getting potency in that. It's all frill and fluff. When I've made products myself, I can tell when they're activated. I can tell when the essential oil content is activated to the level where the green tea, the actual green tea that I brew myself, is brewed strong enough to have an effect. And in these products we buy in the markets, they're in such minute levels, they might have an effect, but it's from using the product every day for a long period of time. We can get benefit from a matter of like a week and a half of switching to our own homemade products. We can make ultra potent products that don't have the chemicals in it, that don't have the matrix in it, because we don't really notice these little individual details in our products, but they add up, they absorb into our system, and they cause our symptoms that we think are normal that are not normal. So calling out the matrix, no one should have symptoms every day. No one. This is ridiculous. We live in modern civilization. Why do we have symptoms every day? What have we been doing with our life? What has civilization been doing with its time that we still have symptoms every day? I mean, my current theory is that physical symptoms are energetic in origin always, and it's only because they haven't been sorted out energetically that they still stick in a manifest physical form. So we should have education and training on energy clearing for ourselves and processing our emotions. This should be what we teach in school and careers and everywhere, because this allows us to not have symptoms. And if there's something big comes up, we might have a symptom around, and that's okay. But everybody having daily symptoms, waking up and saying, oh, I feel this way and I need to do this because of this. This is ridiculous. We can all be waking up in bliss, joy state. There's nothing preventing us as a modern civilization from waking up and not needing coffee, not needing numbing, not needing anything really. Our bodies can be so balanced that we don't need food. We have seen that this is possible. Some great teachers have shown us that through a great amount of focus and effort, we can reach the point where we don't need food anymore. We can create a closed system within our bodies, but it's advanced technology, highly advanced technology. We don't have to get all the way there, but we can get part of the way there by not letting ourselves have symptoms, by training ourselves to not attach ourselves to dis-ease, because the Matrix trains us to attach ourselves to dis-ease. Someone hurts us, we get attached to the pain, we get attached to the person who hurt us, we get attached to the fact that someone hurt us and it caused us pain, and we have all these attachments to pain all of a sudden, and we're told that we're smart because if we let go of it, we'd be letting that person get off the hook. But in reality, we're holding ourselves on the hook by holding on to that pain. If someone hurts us, the best thing we can do, not for them, not for morality, not for karma, or Akashic record, the best thing we can do for our immediate health is to process it and let go of it. Because if someone hurts us, the first thing we want to do after that is figure out why they did it, what was going on, how we felt about it, express how we feel, maybe not to them. And if we can in an appropriate way express it to them, that's going to be effective. We can do that too. That's going to be great. And let go of it. Process it and let go of it. Because if we hold on to that, it's just going to stay with us for the rest of our lives. And that's not going to help anybody. And when we talk about hungry ghosts and people that didn't quite make it and lost souls, these are people who lost their way with spirit. Everybody has a soul. The sun gives animus, soul, to everybody. But when we lose our relationship with spirit, with our mother, with the connection of all things that are within this local reality, then we start losing everything. Then we start losing touch with reality, because we're not getting our needs met. We're not getting our emotional or spiritual or energetic needs met, and we are part of Gaia. And Gaia's like, well, if this little fingernail, this little ant of me isn't doing a good enough job to get the job done and can't process their emotions and are just becoming like a slave zombie, they're not worth my attention anymore. And Gaia's like a living being, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna give a twig that's it's on its way out, or I'm not going to give a being who's not trying anymore, who got tricked and is stuck being tricked. I'm not going to give them my attention anymore. I got important people to help out. I got important parts of me to breathe more life into. So by respecting ourselves, by calling out the Matrix, by making some changes, like I said, we don't have to make them all at once. If we're inspired inspired to, great, but making tangible changes. I'm feeling the cold come in and my energy's dropping and changing, and so I'm building new routines, and I'm making it a point every day when I go home to get on to my all this work that I'm doing and add value to the work that I'm doing. So last night I went through my YouTube channel and just made a playlist for all my Exiting the Matrix movies, because I've been feeling kind of like this slow constricting cold change, and just need a jump start, and I didn't feel this natural just intense creative flow because I'm going inward and I'm slowing down and transitioning. But I realized that I can integrate and I can say, okay, every single day is an opportunity to be working on what I love, and I'm absolutely going to find a way to do this every single day. Even if it's a small way, I'm going to be showing myself that I love this, and I'm going to keep doing this every day. This is a form of self-love and self-respect, and thus love of the world and love of other, because when we focus and engage in doing what we love and we become more complete because of that, then everyone else experiences us in this higher state and wants to be part of that and wants to plug in and dial in as well. All right, well, I got to get going, but I hope you have a wonderful morning.